You were raised to be independent, and somewhere along the way, that turned into being invisible. Nobody taught you how to ask for help because you were never supposed to need it. You learned early that the world doesn't stop for your feelings, so you stopped talking about them. And now, decades later, you carry everything quietly like it's a badge of honor. But here's what nobody tells you. That strength you built to survive wasn't supposed to become a prison. You weren't supposed to feel this alone. Your childhood was different from what came before and what came after. You grew up in the gap between the old world and the new one. Your parents were often working, trying to build something stable after years of uncertainty. You came home to an empty house more often than not. You learned how to make your own snacks, entertain yourself, and solve your own problems. There was no helicopter hovering above you. No one was tracking your every move or scheduling your every hour. You had freedom, but it came with a price. That price was learning to raise yourself. You watched cartoons on Saturday mornings without supervision. You rode your bike until the streetlights came on. You figured things out because there was no other choice. And while that built resilience, it also built something else. A belief that needing someone made you weak. You saw your parents stressed, tired, working hard to keep things together. You didn't want to add to their burden, so you became small in your needs. You became easy, low maintenance, the kid who didn't cause problems. And you carried that version of yourself into adulthood, thinking it was who you were supposed to be. But it wasn't identity, it was survival. You were told that if you worked hard, you'd be rewarded, that loyalty mattered, that putting in your time meant something. You were raised on the promise that stability was real, that companies valued employees, that doing the right thing led to security. And for a while, maybe it looked like that was true. But then the system changed the rules. Pensions disappeared. Job loyalty became a joke. The economy crashed, and it crashed again. You did everything you were supposed to do, and the finish line kept moving. You watched your parents' generation retire with benefits and predictability, and you're watching younger generations demand flexibility, remote work, mental health gaze, things you never thought you were allowed to ask for. You're stuck in the middle, playing by rules that no longer apply, but too tired to rewrite them. The promise was simple: work hard, stay quiet, don't complain, and you'll be taken care of. But that promise was broken, and instead of anger, you just kept going, because that's what you do. You adapt, you survive, you don't make a scene. But adapting all the time is exhausting, and no one ever asked if you were okay. Your body has been keeping score this whole time. You might not notice it every day, but it's there. The tightness in your shoulders that never fully goes away. The jaw you clench without realizing. The shallow breathing that's become your normal. You wake up tired even after a full night's sleep. Your mind doesn't shut off. It runs through lists, problems, things you didn't finish, things you need to handle tomorrow. There's no real rest, because rest feels like falling behind. Your nervous system learned early to stay alert. When you were young and alone after school, you had to be aware. You had to handle things. And now, even when there's no danger, your body still acts like there is. It stays in a low level of fight or flight. Not panic, just tension. A hum of stress that never quite stops. You push through it because that's what you've always done. But your body doesn't forget. It holds the years of pushing, of not asking for help, of handling everything alone. And eventually, that holding starts to hurt. Then came the digital age, and it made everything harder. You didn't grow up with social media, but you're living in it now. You see everyone's highlight reel, the vacations, the promotions, the perfect families. And even though you know it's curated, it still stings. Because you were taught not to brag, not to show off, not to make everything about you. So you stay quiet online, or you share carefully, and you watch everyone else perform their lives with confidence you were never taught to have. You see younger people talking openly about therapy, boundaries, mental health, and part of you is glad they have that language, but part of you feels left behind, like you missed the memo that it was okay to struggle out loud. You were taught to cope in private, to deal with it, to not be a burden, and now the world celebrates vulnerability, but you don't know how to access it. It feels too late, too foreign. You scroll and compare and wonder if you're doing life wrong, even though you've been doing everything you were told was right. The pressure isn't just external anymore, it's internal. You feel like you should have more figured out by now. You feel like you should be further along, and the digital world keeps showing you people who seem to have it all together. It doesn't matter that it's not real, it still makes you feel like you're failing. And you don't talk about it because talking about it feels like admitting defeat. You're not sure who you are outside of what you do. Your identity got tangled up in being useful, being capable, being the one who handles things. If you're not fixing something or helping someone or producing results, you don't know what your value is. You never built a loud personal brand. You never thought you needed to. You just existed and did your work and assumed that was enough. But now the world rewards visibility. It rewards people who talk about themselves constantly, and you weren't raised to do that. You feel caught between generations, too old to relate to the new ways, too young to retire into irrelevance. You don't fit neatly anywhere, and that in-between space is lonely. You look at your life and sometimes you don't recognize it. You thought you'd feel more settled by now, more certain. Instead, you feel like you're still figuring it out, but without the energy you had 20 years ago. There's a quiet grief in that, a sense that you missed something, that you should have been someone different, but you were too busy surviving to become anyone at all. Your childhood taught you lessons you didn't ask for. Maybe your parents were emotionally distant, not because they didn't love you, but because they didn't know how to show it. Maybe you learned that love was silent, that care was practical, that feelings didn't need words. So you became an adult who struggles to name what you need. You can solve problems, but you can't ask to be held. You can give endlessly, but you can't receive without guilt. You might find yourself in relationships where you overfunction, where you're the rock, the stable one, the one who doesn't break down. And it's lonely being that person, because no one thinks to ask if you need support. You've trained everyone around you to believe you're fine, and maybe you've even trained yourself. You pick partners or friends who need you, because being needed feels like love. But it's not the same as being seen. It's not the same as being chosen just for who you are, not what you can do. Your attachment style might be avoidant, not because you don't care, but because you learned early that people leave, that you can only rely on yourself. So you keep parts of yourself hidden. You don't ask for too much. You manage your own emotions, because depending on someone else feels dangerous. And that pattern keeps you safe, but it also keeps you alone. You're tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. It's not just physical, it's emotional, mental, spiritual. You've been running on discipline and duty for so long that you've forgotten what motivation feels like, what excitement feels like. You do what needs to be done because that's what you do. But there's no joy in it, just obligation, just the next thing on the list. Burnout for you doesn't look like a breakdown. It looks like numbness. It looks like going through the motions. It looks like functioning perfectly on the outside while feeling empty on the inside. You don't complain because complaining feels weak. You don't rest because resting feels selfish. So you keep going until there's nothing left. And even then, you keep going. You were never taught that rest is productive, that doing nothing is sometimes the most important thing. You were taught that your worth is tied to your output. So when you're not producing, you feel guilty, anxious, like you're wasting time. But you're not a machine. And the fact that you've kept going this long, through everything, with so little support, is not a failure. It's a miracle. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too much or not enough. You were shaped by a world that didn't prepare you for the one you're living in now. And that's not your fault. The independence you built was beautiful, but you're allowed to let people in now. The strength you carry is real, but you're allowed to put it down sometimes. You don't have to earn your place. You don't have to prove your worth. You are enough, exactly as you are, even on the days you do nothing at all. You survived a kind of loneliness most people don't talk about, and you did it with grace, with grit, without a manual. That matters. You matter. Not because of what you do, just because you exist. Give yourself permission to rest, to feel, to need. You've been strong long enough. It's okay to be soft now. If this landed with you, leave a comment and let me know. Share one thing you're letting go of today. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, send it to them. Subscribe if you want more of these conversations, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. You're not alone in this. I'll see you in the next video.